What happens if you resize non-resizable apps using AutoHotkey in different versions of Windows? Windows 8.1. Some apps are resizable. The window can be resized, and they can be maximized. Some apps are non-resizable. The window can't be resized, and the maximize button is grayed out. Let's install AutoHotkey. Let's write an AutoHotkey script that unmaximizes the current active window, if it's maximized, resizes it to 1280 by 800 pixels, and moves it to the center of the screen, when Windows key and numberpad 5 is pressed. The script works as you'd expect for resizable apps. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on a non-resizable app? The window gets resized, even though it is non-resizable. The calculator UI is in the top left, the rest of the window is filled with the background gradient. The background gradient repeats vertically. Changing the calculator mode puts the window back to its normal size. Pressing Windows key numpad 5 resizes it again. In character map, the rest of the window is gray. In sound recorder, the rest of the window is white. In snipping tool, the rest of the window is black, and the UI gets duplicated. Command prompt gets resized vertically, but not horizontally. The logo at the top of WinVer gets duplicated. So does the logo at the top of the shutdown dialog. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 while on the Metro Start? It resizes the Metro Start to a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen, with the desktop behind. You can interact with the desktop behind. But opening any desktop app will get rid of the Metro Start. Search still comes up at the right of the screen. Power and account menus come up below where they are brought up from. Menus can overhang the edge of the Metro Start. If the Metro Start is brought up from within a Metro app, the Metro Start will come up on top of that Metro app. Clicking outside the Metro Start will switch back to that Metro app. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 while in a Metro app? The Metro app gets resized to a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen, with the accent color behind. The Metro app's title bar still comes up at the top of the screen. The right-click bar comes up at the bottom of the app. The charms still come up at the right of the screen. Pressing Windows key numpad 5 on the charms pane doesn't do anything. Clicking outside the Metro app brings up the Metro Start. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 while a Metro app is snapped? The active Metro app resizes to a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. The other Metro app stays snapped where it was, with the active Metro app in front. The area where the active Metro app was is the accent color. The resize bar is in front of the active Metro app. Dragging the resize bar puts the Metro apps back side by side. Once resized, the Metro Start will continue to come up small until Explorer is restarted. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 while on a full-screen desktop app? It stays in full-screen mode, but in a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. Windows 10. Resizable Win32 apps resize normally as you'd expect. Resizable UWP apps also resize normally. Command prompt resizes normally. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on the Start menu? It moves the search bar, but not the Start menu. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 while in Task View? Task View gets resized to a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. But this is only temporary. If I come out of Task View, it will be full screen again next time I go into it. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on Action Center? It moves Action Center to the left of a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. The rest of that 1280 by 800 area is blurry transparent. The Action Center pane is still the full height of the screen, so the bottom gets clipped. Non-resizable Win32 apps have a black border around the edge when resized with AutoHotkey, but this goes away as soon as the window is dragged. But this doesn't happen for resizable apps. If I press Windows key numpad 5 while on a full-screen app, it stays in full-screen mode, but in a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. Windows 11. Resizable apps resize normally as you'd expect. Pressing Windows key numpad 5 on the Start menu doesn't initially appear to do anything. But it has moved the search UI. Task View gets resized to a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. But this is only temporary. If I come out of Task View, it will be full screen again next time I go into it. Like in Windows 10, non-resizable apps have a black border around the edge when resized with AutoHotkey, but this goes away as soon as the window is dragged. Windows 7. Resizable windows resize normally as you'd expect. The contents of the gadget gallery window resize properly, even though the gadget gallery window is non-resizable. If I then drag the gadget gallery window, it returns to its normal size when I let go. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on a gadget? It moves the gadget to the top left of the 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen, and leaves an outline of the gadget where it was, with the contents of the gadget only filled where it lies within the 1280 by 800 area. It also crashes sidebar.exe. Pressing Windows key numpad 5 on the gadget setting window moves the contents of the window, but leaves the outline of the window where it is. It doesn't crash sidebar.exe. Like in Windows 8.1, 10, and 11, the logo at the top of WinVer and of the shutdown dialog gets duplicated. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on the Start menu? It moves the Start menu, but the profile picture remains where it was. Putting the mouse over the items on the right column removes a box of glass from behind them. Switching between recent programs and all programs move the Start menu back where it should be. If I press Windows key numpad 5 while on a full screen app, it stays in full screen mode, but in a 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. Windows Vista. Resizable windows resize normally as you'd expect. The calculator window gets resized horizontally, but not vertically. The banner at the top of WinVer gets stretched to the width of the entire window, with the WinVer UI on top of it. The background of the banner at the top of the shutdown dialog is the width of the window, but still the same height as normal. The logo is both in the center and at the left. The gadget gallery gets moved, but not resized. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on a gadget? The gadget gets moved to the top left of the 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. The rest of that 1280 by 800 area is solid white. There is an outline of the gadget where it was before. It doesn't crash sidebar.exe like it does in Windows 7. Windows XP. Resizable windows resize normally as you'd expect. The calculator window gets resized horizontally, but not vertically. Command prompt gets resized vertically, but not horizontally. When Minesweeper is resized using AutoHotkey, the rest of the window is gray. If I resize the 3D pinball window with AutoHotkey, the rest of the window is a screenshot of whatever is behind it. The on-screen keyboard in Windows XP is non-resizable. What happens if I resize it with AutoHotkey? The keys get stretched to fill the window, but the text on the keys stays the same size. The logo at the top of WinVer gets stretched to the width of the window, with the WinVer text and a bit of background on top. The banner area at the top of the classic shutdown dialog gets resized to the width of the window, but still the normal height, with the logo in the center. The rest of the banner area has a solid blue background. What happens if I press Windows key numpad 5 on the Start menu? It moves the Start menu to the top left of the 1280 by 800 area in the center of the screen. End of video.